Hello and welcome to the BA Sports Fantasy Podcast. This is going to be our first ever fantasy podcast. It's being recorded today on Saturday, August 6th. I'm Adam and I have Ty and Brandon with me today. We're happy to be a part of the BA network. Today we're going to be doing a quick mock draft. We're going to be picking from the 7th spot. We're just going to kind of go through and give our thoughts on players and opinions, on players.
Also, maybe be looking at some potential busts in the early rounds. Try to give you guys some heads up about those. Maybe do some sleepers later. We haven't really, depending on time, we might go over some sleepers. So let's go ahead and get started with this mock draft. So the computer went ahead and picked the first 6 picks. I'll go ahead and go over those real quick. We got Antonio Brown with the first pick, Odell Beckham Jr. with the second pick, David Johnson from Arizona with the third pick, Todd Gurley number 4, Julio Jones, number 5, and Adrian Peter, number 6.
Any surprises there for either?
David Johnson going third is really kind of a big surprise for me. How about you, Brandon?
That's really about where I expected him to go. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he'd go number 1 or number 2 overall, really.
He did have a big end of his season last year where he kind of really came on strong, put on all kinds of points, and kind of took me out of the championship in my league last year.
Well, other than that, everything looks pretty standard. I mean, I would expect maybe Todd Gurley to go a little bit higher, maybe over David Johnson, but it is what it is. So that brings us up to our pick. Who you guys seeing at the number 7 spot?
Oh, this here is an easy pick for me. My pick would be A.J. Green. We've got DeAndre Hopkins on the board, Lamar Miller, Gronk, top quarterbacks. But
So you're going A.J. Green. How about you, Adam?
Looking at it, A.J. Green most likely, but I'm kind of tempted. I've bought into the hype on Zeke. I'm all in on Zeke. I think him playing behind that offensive line, he's a great running back in college. Obviously, it's the easiest position to transfer from college to the NFL. It's like the least of a learning curve for him. So I think that Zeke would be a pretty solid pick here, but it's hard to argue A.J. Green.
See, I think I'm going to go A.J. Green too. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins is interesting pick there.
Risky pick.
Risky with Brock Osweiler there. So I think I'd go with the more consistent quarterback in Andy Dalton, even though he's an elite. But I think I would go A.J. Green also.
Yeah, in the first round, I usually like to avoid risks such as DeAndre Hopkins or Zeke is a bit of a risk, but could pay off.
What makes you say that DeAndre Hopkins is a risk?
Just because Brock Osweiler's coming in, and last year, I believe the first half of DeAndre Hopkins' season was phenomenal, and I believe he started to drop off towards the end. They also brought in guys like Braxton Miller and Will Fuller, and they're also dedicated to the run, Brad and Lamar Miller.
That is true. They did bring in a lot of weapons this offseason.
So A.J. Green looks like to be the consensus pick here between us.
Yep, so we're going to go ahead and draft A.J. Green with our number 7 pick. There we go. All right, so let's see what goes next. It looks like with the 8th pick, Dez Bryant. The number 9 pick, Robin Gronkowski. Zeke fell all the way to number 10, which is kind of interesting to me. I was expecting him probably with the 8th pick. I wasn't expecting Dez Bryant that high, but we can get into that. DeAndre Hopkins with number 11. Lamar Miller with number 12. Mike Evans from Tampa Bay with the first pick of the 2nd round. Jamal Charles with the 2nd pick of the 2nd round. Le'Veon Bell, LaShawn McCoy, and Allen Robinson are also off the board.
Le'Veon Bell dropping to the 2nd round. Is that a surprise either of you? I mean, I know he's suspended for 4 games, but do you think he's still worthy of a first-round pick, or do you think 2nd round is where he should be picked?
Absolutely. I think he's very well worth back into the early 2nd-round pick. He's a difference maker on your team. For sure.
Right. So when even not having him for the first 4 games, it's worth taking him that early.
That's totally fine. I mean, he coming off the ACL tear last year, being suspended 4 games just assures you that he's going to be healthy, hopefully for your playoffs and win you a championship.
Right. Yep. Getting that extra rest, which is always important for running backs, not getting those early miles on his legs. So, yeah, I don't see how he fell that far, but definitely that team got a great steal in Le'Veon Bell. I don't see him falling out of the first round in many real drafts, but you never know. Also, Lamar Miller going number 12. That's kind of high for him too, I think, especially when he's going to be like we said, that Houston offense has a lot of weapons. I'm not sure if he's going to be getting the attention that maybe he deserves there in Houston. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Oh, I think that's a good spot for him. I think he's going to be the workhorse. He's going to get you 200-plus fantasy points this year.
And Lamar Miller averages 4.5 yards per carry, which is more than even LaDainian Tomlinson averaged. And we all know LaDainian Tomlinson back in his day was a fantasy beast. So with Lamar Miller giving more of a workload, I think that his value really can skyrocket.
All right, so with our next pick, where do you guys want to go? We went receiver in the first round.
Okay.
Where are we going? We got Jordy Nelson, Alshon Jeffrey, Devontae Freeman if we want to go running back, Mark Ingram, Doug Martin, Brandon Marshall. Those are some of the top picks still left. What are you guys feeling?
I honestly wouldn't mind going wide receiver, because I think you can get great value at running backs late in the draft. But what do you guys think?
I agree with that. That's what I always like to do. I like to go receivers high just because it seems like there's a pretty big drop-off between the top receivers and the mid-level receivers. Like you said, running backs can always find great value. You can always find waiver wire pickups for running back, which I enjoy.
Yeah, looking at this list, what we got available right now, definitely a lot of good receivers left on the board. I'm weighing my options between Jordy Nelson and Brandon Marshall right now.
I was just looking down at Brandon Marshall too. I think being Fitz comes back on a 1-year deal, I think.
Yeah, Marshall had 1,500 yards last year. I don't even remember how many 14 touchdowns.
Yep.
So he's obviously Fitz's go-to weapon.
And he's betting with Antonio Brown, betting his
He's
car
got his Porsche, yeah,
that
his Porsche.
he's going to get more receiving yards than AB. So
maybe that little extra motivation for him. So I think we all agree Brandon Marshall here. I mean, I kind of want to stay away from Freeman. Alshon Jeffrey makes me nervous with Kevin White coming in. And Jordy Nelson also, he's getting up there in age, and he has a little bit of an injury.
Coming off of an injury, yeah.
Right. So especially when speed is so important for a receiver, especially a white receiver at that. So,
well, Jordy
Play
Nelson,
the race card.
even before his injury, he wasn't really a top-end speed guy.
right, so his speed's definitely going to probably drop off here this year. So I think we're all going to go Brandon Marshall. So we got two receivers right now, Brandon Marshall and A.J. Green, which I feel are pretty solid receivers in all honesty.
Yeah, I'm happy with it. And just so everyone knows, a quick rundown of how the rosters are for this league. It's quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, tight end, flex, defense, kicker, and 6 bench players. Just to give you a heads up of what we're looking at and trying to fill.
All right, so let's go over the next couple picks. We got Jordy Nelson right after our pick with the number 7 pick of the second round. We got Devontae Freeman, DeMarco Murray, the newest Tennessee Titan, Alshon Jeffrey, Duggernut at the 11th pick of the second round, Cam Newton.
DeMarco Murray before Doug Martin.
Right,
What? That is quite a jump.
that's surprising. I think we all know how Murray's year went last year.
Yeah,
and
but he's in a completely different offense. He's back to a more Dallas-type offense in Tennessee, to where I think that he will have more of an impact fantasy-wise this year. He's back to being a downhill runner as opposed to a side-to-side runner, waiting for the lanes to open up. So I think DeMarco Murray is worthy of jumping up quite more. Like, don't go based off what he did last year. You got to expect what he does this year. But for him to be ahead of Doug Martin just surprises the heck out of me.
Yeah, it surprises me too. I think it surprises all of us. So after Doug Martin, we got Cam Newton, first quarterback off the board. I think we can all agree he's probably going to be the top quarterback in 99% of leagues with the way he can run the ball and pass the ball.
Yeah, he's that dual threat.
Then we got Mark Ingram, Eddie Lacy, Aaron Rodgers, second quarterback going off the board, Keenan Allen, Doug Baldwin.
Doug Baldwin.
Right. That's
Middle of the
very
third
surprising. And then Amari Cooper.
Doug Baldwin's another one of those guys you can't really go off of his stats based off of last year because he had that stretch. Brandon, what was it? How much?
I believe he caught 67% of his total touchdowns
in like a 6-week span?
In like I think it was a 4-week
a
span.
4-week span
Of his total career touchdowns.
Right, so it was, I mean...
That is a fluke, will not be repeatable.
Right. He's one of Russell's favorite targets, and Russell Wilson, when throwing to Doug Baldwin, has a very high quarterback rating. It's like over 130. So
Yeah.
they have a good chemistry there, but he's not going to go get no 14 touchdowns again this year.
They're also going to want to lean on the run, and they've also got Tyler Lockett, which I am in love with this year.
Yeah, he's going to be a stud.
All right, so that brings up our third pick. So I think we got to go running back or quarterback here. I'm more partial to a quarterback. I could see a Russell Wilson or Andrew Luck or maybe even Drew Brees if he's still chugging along with his amazing season. So running backs, we got C.J. Anderson, who makes me really nervous. Carlos Hyde, Thomas Rawls replacing Beast Mode, Matt Forte, the newest Jet. What are you guys feeling?
Man, I'm not happy with any of these options that we have available right now.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on the quarterback part. I think quarterbacks early is not the way to go.
Really? See, I love building my team. Last year I drafted Cam Newton, I think, in the 3rd round, and it was definitely a risk there, but he really carried my fantasy team last year. So I think a good quarterback can definitely carry your team if you're getting 30 points compared to 20 from a Eli Manning or a Kirk Cousins, where they'll get you a consistent 20, but some of these quarterbacks really get you to that next level.
Yeah, but you'd be hurting at them other positions where some of these teams are scooping up these quarterbacks, and you can just load up on skill positions.
Right. I'm more. I can see Ty's argument. I'm kind of in between there. To me, a Cam Newton might be worthy of a higher pick, but there's not much. Maybe a Russell Wilson. Those dual threat guys, the guys that are going to get you the rushing touchdowns as well as the passing touchdowns, I can see taken earlier. But I don't touch the Aaron Rodgers. I don't touch the Drew Breeses. You know, I will wait on a Kirk Cousins before I'll take a Drew Brees just because the difference between them isn't very – like you can get a Kirk Cousins 10th, 11th round to where, you know, we had Aaron Rodgers go, in the 3rd round here. So it's – to me the top mobile quarterbacks might be worth taking early, but that's only because they can get you, like last year, 10 rushing touchdowns from Cam. That's a huge impact.
Yeah, I think we got to go running back here. Got 2 wide receivers. I think a running back's got to be the pick.
I would touch C.J. Anderson with a 100-foot pole.
Not quite sure about him. I know they're wanting to give him the workload. Carlos Hyde, I think, could be a breakout in Chip Kelly's offense. I think he'd be
I'm interested to see what
a 2-dimensional back, 1st, 2nd down. I think they'll be trailing a lot, because that team's going to be terrible.
I'm definitely looking at Thomas Rawls.
Yeah, I like Thomas Rawls a lot.
I mean, I picked him up pretty late last year when Beast Mode got hurt, and he really showed some promise. So he's definitely an interest to me. What's everyone think on that?
I think Thomas Rawls is the way to go. I think we're all in agreement there.
I think that's the pick.
All right, so we're going Thomas Rawls. So after the Thomas Rawls pick, we got Brandon Cooks going, Demaryius Thomas, Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb. So a big run on receiver still there. C.J. Anderson going at the end of the 3rd round. Beginning of the 4th round, we got Michael Floyd, Jeremy Maclin, T.Y. Hilton, Matt Jones, Carlos Hyde. So a big run of receivers right there. I mean, there's a couple running backs, C.J. Anderson, Carlos Hyde, and Matt Jones, but lots of receivers taken.
Again, I think with this pick for us, me personally, I'm going to be looking running back, try to fill out the 2 running back spots, try to get my 2 starters here. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, I'm gonna either go running back or receiver. A name that really just jumps off the board at me is Latavius Murray.
I'm with you 100%. I think he had over 1,000 yards last year as a rookie. Not very well-known player last year. Kind of jumped onto the scene, and he's a young running back in a young offense, and I think that he's only going to continue to get better and grow with that offense. So I think Latavius Murray definitely has a ton of potential this year.
Yeah, that Oakland offense is definitely shows a lot of promise with Amari Cooper, Derek Carr, Latavius Murray. He seems like a strong choice. I mean, Matt Forte is also interesting to me. I'm not sure how much of that's left in the tank. He's more of just of a name grab.
Right.
Where you recognize the name, so you may take him there. But definitely Latavius Murray seems like a solid pick here. Are we all in agreement?
Yeah, I think just sheer volume, Latavius Murray running behind maybe the top 3 O-line in the NFL. I think he's going to get fantasy point by volume. And a name to grab with Latavius Murray would happen to be DeAndre Washington, who is currently the backup to him. Because last year, I believe, middle of the season, Latavius Murray got benched. So if he happens to be terrible, DeAndre Washington can come on and be your workhorse.
So you
too.
definitely want to get that handcuff. Obviously, you can target Washington in much later rounds, probably one of your last couple picks. So Washington would definitely be a good handcuff if you go the route and get Latavius Murray.
So after Murray, we got Kelvin Benjamin off the board, Andrew Luck, so another quarterback, Matt Forte, Julian Edelman, Jordan Reed, so the first tight end. No, that's not the first tight end. My mistake. Gronk went earlier. Jonathan Stewart, which is surprisingly, he is getting up there in age and workhorse, so that's kind of a high pick
He's still
for
their
him.
main back there in Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know. That makes me nervous. Jarvis Landry, which I think he should have went higher. I mean, he's definitely one of those underrated players who...
And he's losing the people around him. I mean, Devontae Parker might jump onto the scene a little bit more this year than what he did last year, but Greg Jennings retiring, there's more targets to go around for Jarvis Landry.
Then we got Golden Tate, Greg Olsen, which I don't know how he went behind Jordan Reed and Austin. He was for me last year. He seemed pretty solid. He didn't really break any records, but he was a solid tight end.
He was your solid week in, week out.
You knew what you're getting out of him, absolutely.
Then we got Devontae Parker, who we just mentioned, the other Miami receiver, going after Greg Olsen, Dante Moncrief from Indiana, and then Dion Lewis, who was a former Brown. We knew him. He was very exciting. Ended up breaking his leg in preseason. He plays for New England now, and
he had a huge impact last year when he was healthy. He ended up getting hurt, but Dion Lewis was putting up some fantasy numbers last year before he got hurt. But you can never trust a Bill Belichick running back.
No. The way he just benches running backs at will for missing a cut, it seems like.
Yeah.
You can't go with that. I mean, he has been solid. It seems Bill trusts him, but still, Bill can flip the script just like that and bench him or trade him or cut him. It doesn't really matter. So I would stay away from New England running backs, including Dion Lewis. So coming up for our pick, we still got that quarterback position empty. That's where I'm still going. I'm a big fan of the quarterback. What are you guys feeling?
Looking at what we got, Russell Wilson is the best player on the board. Then we got Eric Decker, Jeremy Hill, Drew Brees, Ryan Matthews, Jordan Matthews. So right here, out of the top options we've already filled our 2 running back slots, so it kind of makes me overlook Jeremy Hill a little bit. Russell Wilson is one guy I said that might be worth taking early. We're in 5th round here?
Yeah.
So Russell Wilson in the 5th round, it's a little earlier than what I normally take quarterbacks, but I wouldn't be opposed to grabbing Russell here.
My pick, I see Eric Decker sitting there, and I think him and Brandon Marshall this year are going to be phenomenal.
But do you really want to tag them on the same fantasy team? Because,
They are both viable week in, week out starters. Brandon Marshall's more of your bigger game, but Eric Decker is going to be your week in, week out wide receiver 2, about as consistent as it can be.
So you're okay with, because, there are plenty of cases where one receiver has a big game, which means that it's taken away from the other guy. So that wouldn't worry you having the 2 receivers on the same team, be on the same fantasy team?
All right, so it seems our biggest 2 options are Eric Decker, Russell Wilson, there we go.
You almost said Russell Westbrook, didn't you?
I know, yeah. Russell Westbrook on the mind from another podcast we are in the works on doing, but I don't know, Adam, I think it's up to you. I say Russell Wilson. Brandon says Eric Decker. What are you feeling?
Oh, man. I agree with Brandon with Eric Decker being a pretty solid guy, but it scares me having the 2 guys side by side, so I'm going to go Russell Wilson here.
All right, so it looks like we're picking Russell Wilson. Sorry, Brandon. So after Wilson, we got Giovanni Bernard from Cincinnati going after us. Larry Fitzgerald, the other Cincinnati running back. Jeremy Hill. Chris Ivory, the Jacksonville Jaguar. Eric Decker went with the end of the 5th round. Melvin Gordon, hopefully
in the 6th round?
Yeah, hopefully looking to bounce back after a very disappointing rookie year. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I think that is ridiculous for Melvin Gordon to go in the top of the 6th round.
I'm trying to think of why it would happen, and the only thing I can see is, obviously you got to count on him having that bounce back year, and he is going to be the starting back. He's not going to be splitting carries really. He's mostly the workhorse there in San Diego.
I like Melvin Gordon this year, but I want to take him no earlier than the 8th round. I think it's all about value, and 6th round is not value for Melvin Gordon at all.
All right, so after Melvin Gordon, we got Drew Brees, Emmanuel Sanders, Tyler Eifert, and Travis Kelce. So a little bit of a run on tight ends. You guys think we need to grab a tight end here? Or one player I'm looking at that I see down here is Jeremy Langford from Chicago. After Matt Forte went down and he obviously moved teams to the Jets, Langford really stood out to me last year. I think he could be a solid pickup. What's your guys' thoughts on that?
I had Langford on my team last year. I actually traded with Brandon to get him once Forte went down. And Langford helped get me to where I got to the championship. I got beat, but Langford helped me get there. I'm pretty high on Langford. Looking at what else we have left, I kind of would like to fill out that third receiver spot, but let's see. Let me look down here.
We got Tyler Lockett, Deshaun Jackson, Jordan Matthews, who I would stay away from, Kevin White, who's going to be – this is really going to be his rookie year in Chicago. That could be an interesting pick. Marvin Jones, the new Detroit Lion. Any of those guys really pop out at you?
If we can risk – how many picks do we got for our next one? We got 12 picks. There's a couple receivers that I see down on the list there that I would be okay with waiting until the next round to get. I'd love to get Tyler Lockett, but I think this is a little bit of a reach for him right here.
Quite a reach.
So hopefully he can fall to us in the next pick. So I think we could go ahead and grab one of the other top players available and try.
Do you guys want to go tight end?
I'm almost with you. I'm almost with you on the Langford thing. I think he'd be a great person to put in our flex spot.
Yeah, I'm liking the running back, but I know neither of you two are going to like this, but I love Ryan Matthews' opportunity this year. I think he's going to get the ball. There's nobody else there. I mean, they went out and drafted Wendell Smallwood. They got rid of DeMarco Murray.
They still got Darren Sproles, who's going to be that third down back.
Signed him.
1 year extension, I believe.
1 year, yeah.
But to me, Ryan Matthews, if you look at his history, the only history he has is injury history.
Yeah, injury history, but...
So to me, that's a huge red flag.
He's going to be great. Doug Peterson is going to want to run the football.
And that might be the case for 2 games until Ryan Matthews goes down with an injury. So he's a big red flag. I stay away from him.
So every year I tell myself, Ty, don't draft Ryan Matthews. And every year I draft Ryan Matthews. And let me tell you, you do not want to draft Ryan Matthews. I'll tell you that right now. Ryan Matthews is the definition of a bust. No matter where you take him, he'll just give you disappointment. So I wholeheartedly agree with the Ryan Matthews pick. I think we should definitely go Jeremy Langford and see what he can do in the Chicago offense.
There's also, I kind of overlooked, but Frank Gore. I wouldn't mind throwing
strength.
He's too old. I can't do it.
He's still going to be that number 1 back in Indy. Andrew Luck's got to hand the ball off to somebody. And Frank Gore, I mean, you can probably count on maybe not quite 1,000 yards, but you're looking at 800 to 1,000 yards and probably 5 to 10 touchdowns out of Frank Gore.
I'm not feeling it.
A guy I think we're all overlooking is actually John Brown. I think the Arizona offense is going to be top-notch this year. I think they'll be able to support 3 top receivers with Michael Floyd, John Brown, and Larry Fitzgerald. I think John Brown's going to be the 2 there, and he's going to be a solid wide receiver 3 for us, and he's going to be a big boom if he does hit.
So you want to go John Brown and not risk on trying to get like a Tyler Lockett in the next pick?
Yeah, we can. Do you want to go receiver now and just give up on Tyler Lockett, or do you want to go?
Well, we could still flex.
Yeah,
that Tyler Lockett.
All right, I'm okay with the John Brown pick.
I think John Brown's our pick here.
All right, let's go ahead and go John Brown, the Arizona Cardinal. So we'll go ahead and draft him. So after the John Brown pick, we got Langford going right after us, which disappointment. Kobe Fleener, Jordan Matthews, Delaney Walker.
Real quick, we need to talk about the Kobe Fleener pick.
Kobe Fleener, I'm disappointed. He is gone. I love Kobe Fleener's opportunity in this Drew Brees offense. I believe the past 6 years they have gave us the top 5 tight end, which includes old man
Ben Watson,
40-year-old Ben Watson,
former Brown. I mean, I loved Ben Watson when he was in Cleveland. He was pretty reliable, but he was not a top 5 tight end as fantasy or NFL wise by any means. But you put him in that New Orleans Saints offense, Drew Brees really carried him to the next level. Give Kobe Fleener that same chance, a nice young guy. He's going to go out there and make plays for the Saints.
So after that Kobe Fleener pick, we got Jordan Matthews, Delaney Walker. So again, more tight ends coming off the board. We may have to fill that position sooner rather than later. Then we got Ben Roethlisberger, Ryan Matthews, Allen Hurns, Ajayi. All right, thank you, Brandon. Deshaun Jackson, Carson Palmer, Duke Johnson in the middle of the 7th, and Tom Brady going middle of the 7th also. So that leaves us with a couple players I see. I see big play Gary Barnidge up here for us. I'm not sure how he's going to be in this new offense, but that's a very
I am not
interesting
going to
pick.
touch Gary Barnidge this year.
Especially if RG3's a quarterback.
Right.
If you look back at RG3's history of throwing to tight ends, it's not very good.
So then we still got Tyler Lockett available.
Yeah, we were just talking about Tyler Lockett. He got back round to us. Still Frank Gore, old man strengths there. Amir Abdullah, I think he's got great opportunity there in Detroit. I know he kind of disappointed us last year, being all hyped up and drafted early, but I think he's a great bounce back candidate.
So I mean, obviously at this point we're looking at our flex because right now our roster is Russell Wilson, Thomas Rawls, Latavius Murray, AJ Green, Brandon Marshall, John Brown. So our quarterback, running backs, and receivers are filled. We still need a starting tight end, a flex, and obviously defense and kicker, all that stuff. We haven't touched our bench yet. So this pick will either, if we don't go tight end, it's going to be our flex. Do we want to flex a receiver or do we want to flex a running back?
One thing I'm worried about is if we do go Tyler Lockett. We already have 2 Seattle Seahawks. Do we really want to load up on one team? I mean, that always makes me nervous loading up on one team. How do you guys feel about that?
Yeah, loading up on one team is all right if it's a high-powered team like, say, Green Bay or Arizona, Seahawks, those type of teams. I think it's okay to get several players. I mean,
A couple years back, a player in one of our leagues loaded up on the Denver team.
Yeah,
He would,
won
when
him the
Peyton Manning was
championship.
worth it and took him all the way to the championship. But you can't do that like he was saying with every team. But I think Seattle might have that kind of offense where you might be able to.
So you guys want to go Tyler Lockett for that flex position then?
yeah, I think we can, and we can also double up, quarterback to receiver,
Right.
double up on the if he has a big game. Plus, Tyler Lockett also returns punts and kicks, so you've also got that aspect of his game.
All right, so let's go Tyler Lockett then. Go ahead and draft him. We'll go ahead and see what comes next. Julius Thomas from Jacksonville, Kevin White, Blake Bortles, Ladarius Green, Eli Manning, Gary Barnidge, Danny Woodhead, Zach Ertz, Tony Romo, and Phillip Rivers are the next 12 picks. How do you guys feel about any of those picks?
Wow. Well, one thing I see is Frank Gore is still on the board,
Which is very surprising.
taking quite a tumble.
Does that make you nervous?
No, not at all. That makes me excited, actually.
Brandon's been preaching value this whole time, and I think Frank Gore in the 8th round is quite a bit of value.
So you guys want to go him over an Arian Foster, who's obviously has an injury history but has
definitely.
some upside, or a tight end?
Definitely.
All right, so let's go ahead and draft Frank Gore. So after Frank, we got Jimmy Graham, who is still available, D'Angelo Williams, Antonio Gates, Amir Abdullah, Michael Crabtree, Justin Forsett, the Baltimore running back. And then we got a run on defenses. We got Seattle, Denver, and Carolina all going with the next 3 picks.
Which is absolutely ridiculous.
We got
I would
the
never
Brown-
touch a defense in the 9th round.
The Browns' first-round pick, Corey Coleman, going in the middle of the 9th. Arian Foster, and good old Flash Gordon going in the middle of the 9th,
Josh
too.
Gordon.
So 2 Cleveland receivers going in a span of 3 picks. What do you guys feel about Josh Gordon?
Josh Gordon in the 9th round.
I definitely think he's the first receiver that should come off the board. He's clearly the number 1 there. Once he comes back from that suspension.
Just to clarify, do you mean the first Cleveland receiver coming off the board?
Yes.
Okay.
Out of him and Corey Coleman. Corey Coleman, I believe he's going to be an absolute beast. I think he's got to work up to it first. Don't expect too much out of him his first season. I mean, RG3's noodle arm, not gonna. Josh Gordon even scares me too.
Right, because, I mean, last time we did actually see him on the field a couple years ago, I mean, he did not look to be all that interested in being there. So, I mean, you got to wonder if the passion is still there. He says it is, but even as he's quoted as saying, actions speak louder than words. So we got to go out there and see it from Josh Gordon this year.
All right, so some top players available. Marvin Jones still available. T.J. Yeldon, Rashad Jennings, Torrey Smith, Charles Sims, Willie Snead. Those are some of the top that's available. Some of the tight ends still available. Dwayne Allen, Eric Ebron, Martellus Bennett, who would split time with Gronk, but we all saw how New England ran that 2 tight end offense a couple years ago with
Aaron Hernandez.
And we also got Jason Witten, who's solid all the time. Austin Seferian-Jenkins, Jordan Cameron, the former Brown. What are you guys feeling?
I think those tight ends are quite a ways down this list still, so I think we can still push that off to the side.
Yeah, every team that's already probably
Stock
got their
up on
tight
bench
end, they're not going to
players.
be looking for one, so we can put those off for a while.
Quarterbacks. Here's what I'm talking about. We are now in the 8th or 9th round?
Ninth round, I believe. Ninth round,
Ninth round, and we've got guys on the board like Derek Carr, had a huge season last year. Kirk Cousins. I love Tyrod Taylor this year. Andy Dalton, Jameis Winston. I mean, those are all good options if you want to wait for a quarterback.
Andy Dalton, I don't know what you can really expect out of him because Hugh Jackson is now in Cleveland and not there in Cincy anymore with him. So it'll be interesting to see how much of an impact Hugh Jackson had on that Cincinnati offense.
He's still got A.J. Green. He'll be fine.
Jameis Winston was also poised for a breakout year, I believe. I think with Mike Evans down there and the running game with Doug Arnott.
And don't forget about
Russell
Vincent Jackson either.
Right. Yep. Vincent Jackson. I think he's poised for a breakout year. So what are you guys feeling with our pick? We obviously probably going to build up our bench a little bit more. We could probably use another running back, another receiver. Do you guys want to go quarterback? Get that backup quarterback now?
Now we can wait on that, I believe. I'm looking. I see
Rashad Jennings.
That's what I'm looking at too. Him and Torrey Smith are the two people that are kind of jumping out to me.
I believe they came out with a report that the 4 running back committee last year is no more, and Rashad Jennings is going to get the first.
So we're getting a
downward.
starting running back in the 9th round.
Yeah, that's
value.
That is value.
He's also labeled as a sleeper on the website we're currently using. So let's go ahead and go Rashad Jennings right here, which I'm very happy with. That's building up our bench. I'm very happy with our team right now. Let's give a rundown real quick. We got Russell Wilson at quarterback. Our 2 starting running backs are Thomas Rawls, Latavius Murray. The receivers, we got A.J. Green, Brandon Marshall, and John Brown. At our flex, we got Tyler Lockett. And on the bench so far, we got Frank Gore and Rashad Jennings. So very solid, I believe.
Looking like a championship contender right now.
I believe so, too. So, with our next pick, or let's see who went next. Crow went at the pick right after Jennings. Then we got LeGarrette Blount, Steve Smith, which makes me nervous in Baltimore. I think he still has a little bit left in the tank, but I'm not sure how much. C.J. Prezay from Seattle.
Pro size.
Tomato. We can agree to disagree. Then we got Travis Benjamin, the former Brown, the burner, going at the end of the 9th. Started 10th round, we got T.J. Yeldon, Marvin Jones, Sterling Shepard, Vincent Jackson, and Jerick McKinnon from Minnesota. So, what are you guys feeling here? I'm feeling maybe receiver.
I think, how many picks till our next pick?
12.
We might be able to just grab a tight end here.
Dwayne Allen,
I
Jason
like
Witten.
Dwayne Allen and
Ebron.
Eric Ebron. Dwayne Allen is in that high-powered Colts offense. He's all alone now.
Wasn't so high powered last year though.
Yeah,
with
not
Andrew
so
Luck
much.
being
Andrew
hurt.
Luck was garbage last year. This year he's gonna return to his old self. Kobe Fleener's gone. Opportunities there for Dwayne Allen. Eric Ebron is a great breakout player this year. They drafted him.
Yeah, with Calvin Johnson being gone now, someone's got to get those targets, and a player like him is definitely prime for that.
He's a first-round pick, top 10 pick, I believe. They drafted him 3 years ago. It usually takes about 3 or 4 years for a tight end to break out, so I think this year's the year for Eric Ebron.
You guys want to go Eric Ebron?
Yeah.
All right, let's go Eric Ebron. That sounds like a solid pick to me. So after Eric Ebron, we got Tevin Coleman going, the running back from Atlanta, Tavon Austin, Kamar Aiken. Was that the right pronouncement?
Yep,
All right,
was.
thank you. Carlos Williams from Buffalo, Stephon Diggs, Minnesota receiver who really interests me. Diggs is definitely one of those sleeper players that interests me. Martellus Bennett from New England, Laquan Treadwell, the rookie receiver from Minnesota, Derrick Henry, Josh Doxson, Charles Sims, Bilal.
Run of rookies right there with
Bilal Powell.
Treadwell, Henry, and Josh Doxson all going back to
Right,
back.
right. And then Marcus Wheaton. So I think here, what we're looking at, some of the top players available, Dwayne Allen still, Theo Reddick, Torrey Smith, the Arizona Cardinal defense. What are you guys feeling?
I'm looking here. I'm seeing. I think I got a need for Snead. Willie Snead, that is, of the New Orleans Saints. Another high-powered offense. Drew Brees going to throw 5,000 yards this year. number 2 receiver there behind Brandon Cooks. I believe he had just under 1,000 yards last year. He's very disappointed in that.
With that New Orleans offense, you still got to worry about Brandon Cooks and some of those players. So, but I do like Willie Snead. You guys want to go Willie Snead?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and go Willie Snead.
Also, another former Cleveland Brown. I don't know if anyone mentioned that or not, but he did play for the Browns in preseason before we let him go, and he made his way to New Orleans.
I feel like I remember that, but don't remember that off the top of my head. Then we go Torrey Smith after Willie Snead, Theo Reddick, Javaris Allen, Kenneth Dixon, Mohamed Sanu. Another run on tight ends. We got Dwayne Allen, Jason Witten, Austin Seferian-Jenkins, Darrell Green-Beckham, DeAndre Washington.
No.
We didn't get our chance for our handcuff. We didn't get the chance to get our handcuff with Washington from Oakland, so kind of missed opportunity there. But
Right. So, looking what we still have available, we got a defense, a kicker, and 3 bench players left. What do you guys want to go with? You think it's time for that defense pick with the Arizona Cardinals?
No. I think a defense and kicker should be your very last picks.
Yeah, because those are the ones that you're going to be scooping on the waiver wire most of the time.
It's very easy to stream, week in, week out player matchups, defense, kicker. So you're probably not going to end up at the end of the year with the defense or kicker you drafted.
All right, so we still need a backup quarterback. We still need a backup tight end. We can still use some skill players. Derek Carr still available. That really interests me. We could maybe use him as trade bait. I think he's poised for a breakout year, so that's a possibility. Darren McFadden's there in Dallas. We're not sure what the situation. Obviously, Zeke's going to get the majority of the carries, but who knows? Then we got receiver Michael Thomas, the former Ohio State Buckeye. What are you guys feeling?
As I look here, I'm not really. None of these are really jumping out to me. It's going to be a couple of things that we got to really sit here and strategize.
A couple of names that jump out to me are a couple of high upside guys. Like Philip Dorsett. I think they spent high capital on him. They're going to use him this year. I believe that's another team that can sustain 3 wide receivers in that offense. Plus, if, say, Dante Moncrief or T.Y. Hilton goes down, you get a number 2 receiver with Andrew Luck throwing the ball. And the other one is Sammy Coates. They got Martavis Bryant suspended this year. Who's going to be the number 2?
Who's going to jump up a little bit this year?
Yeah, who's going to jump up behind AB? Is it going to be Marcus Wheaton or is it going to be Sammy Coates?
Definitely both really good points. Also, what are your thoughts on Devin Funchess real quick? We need to try to speed this up. But
I'm not a fan. I think Carolina's going to spread the ball around.
With Kelvin Benjamin coming back, Funchess is going to see a lot less targets.
So what do we decide on? What do you guys want to go with?
I think we should go with Philip Dorsett.
I'm with you. You sold me on it.
All right, so it looks like we're going Philip Dorsett with this pick. 0 experts agree, by the way, with this pick on the website.
I am the expert, and I agree.
So we got Philip Dorsett, and then we got Arizona's defense, Anquan Bolden, the new Detroit receiver, Jordan Cameron, Darren McFadden, Michael Thomas, Zach Miller from Chicago, Chris Johnson, who had a great year last year. He's going pretty late. James Starks, Ronnie Hillman, Jordan Howard, Houston Texans defense, and Cheneric West, a KC running back. What are you guys feeling now?
Right here, just kind of looking.
Just gonna go ahead and fill out our bench. How many?
We did get Rashad Jennings, so Shane Vereen as a handcuff there wouldn't be a terrible idea. Also, looking over at the receivers, there's still Kendall Wright, Sammy Coates is still available. Even Mike Wallace, I'm interested to see what kind of impact he'll have now that he's in Baltimore. But to me, I think we need to hit up the running back side of our bench.
Definitely. I think running backs are a position you want to have more than wide receivers. So I think Shane Vereen's probably our pick here.
Yeah, I definitely like that pick. I agree with that 100%. So let's go ahead and...
Well, actually, I think, I didn't even see, Paul Perkins is the other running back behind Rashad Jennings. And I think he's a rookie coming in. I think...
so I guess it's going to come down to how it looks in preseason. Who's getting those number 2 carries?
Yeah, I think Shane Vereen could be the permanent third down back, and he might be number 2 on the depth chart, but if Rashad Jennings goes out, he could stay in that third down role. And
also, there's Devontae
Paul
Booker. We all
Perkins.
know that they split carries in Denver. Devontae Booker expected to get some carries there with C.J. Anderson.
I think we need to go Shane Vereen here. I think he's the proven running back. I mean, we can always see. That's obviously early. We still need to see preseason on how these rookie running backs turn out. I think we need to go Shane
So,
Vereen.
yeah, that's definitely something to watch for everybody in preseason. If you do get one of the Giants running backs, you need to make sure you're paying attention who's getting those number 2 carries. All right.
So after Shane Vereen, we got Matthew Stafford, Devontae Booker, Paul Perkins, who you were talking about, Devin Funchess, Wendell Smallwood went from Philly. They went huge run on defense. We got Kansas City, L.A. Rams, Pittsburgh, Cincinnati Bengals, and New England all
I just gotta say it's still
Yeah.
weird to hear L.A. Rams.
once again, I'm not worried about the run of defenses. Just going to try and fill out our last bench spot here.
So we get the best player we can get here, and I mean that's looking at what we got available running back wise. There's Darren Sproles, Tim Hightower. I know you're not a fan of having 2 quarterbacks on your roster,
No,
but
not really, but
I mean
I would
there still is
understand
Derek Carr right here.
taking Derek Carr here. I love to stream quarterbacks week to week. I think that's a good strategy. But yeah, I think we can go ahead and take Derek Carr with the high upside.
Works for me. All right, so we go Derek Carr. So right now, our roster is looking pretty good. Everything's being filled out. We got Russell Wilson and Derek Carr as our quarterbacks. Our running backs are Thomas Rolls, Latavius Murray, Shane Vereen, and Rashad Jennings and Frank Gore. So very good running backs for us. We got A.J. Green, Brandon Marshall, John Brown, Willie Snead, Philip Dorsett as our
Tyler Lockett.
receivers, and Tyler Lockett. As far as tight end goes, we just have Eric Ebron, which we expect
Yeah,
he's one of those guys that it's gonna be a matchup thing for tight ends. Play the waiver wire with that. And so now we're on to our defense and kicker, and you just kind of take the best defense and kicker we have available.
We're just gonna go ahead and close our draft out on that note.
So here we're taking the New York Jets defense just because they're the highest rated one available right now. And then, so I think a pretty darn solid draft here for us.
Yeah, gave us a B+ on our draft grade, which doesn't necessarily mean much because it just basically goes off of whoever it suggests you to take. So if you just go through and pick the best player at the top of the board, it's going to give you a good grade.
It has us as the number 2 team. Apparently team 2, they thought had a little bit better roster, so let's go take a quick look at their roster. Team 2 was Ben Roethlisberger, Doug Martin, Eddie Lacy, Odell Beckham, Golden Tate, Michael Crabtree, Jordan Reed, Jay Ajayi, and then their bench was Kirk Cousins, Stephon Diggs, Derrick Henry, Michael Thomas, James Starks. So I can see why they got a pretty good rating.
Yeah, pretty solid team.
Obviously having Odell Beckham, Doug Martin, Ben Roethlisberger, some big names like that's gonna skyrocket them. But obviously our draft was very solid.
Yeah, I like this. This was fun. I think we should go ahead and do this again. We'll do our team one more time. We got Russell Wilson at quarterback, Thomas Rawls at running back 1, Latavius Murray at running back 2, A.J. Green, Brandon Marshall, John Brown at our receivers. We got Eric Ebron at tight end. After that, for our flex, we have...
Oh, I threw Frank Gore in there.
Yeah, that's what threw me off. Yeah, I was looking for Tyler Lockett. Frank Gore. Then we got the New York Jets, Tyler Lockett at our bench, Rashad Jennings, Willie Snead,
What weaknesses do you guys see with our roster?
Derek Carr, Philip Dorsett, and Shane Vereen. With our... definitely...
Nothing.
It seems really solid. I mean, I don't see a lot coming bad here. Maybe that Shane Vereen pick, maybe we should have went with the rookie running back, but that remains to be seen with preseason games. But I'm very happy with our roster. How do you so everyone agrees that this is a pretty solid team
Right,
for our
yeah,
first mock draft that we did this year?
I would be happy with that team.
All right. So I think that's going to wrap it up. Again, a little longer than we thought it would be. But so this was our first fantasy football podcast. This was Brandon's first podcast with us. Hopefully going to be joining us again for these fantasy football podcasts and possibly on our other podcast, the BA Sports Podcast. Once again, check out us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all at the BA Sports Podcast. We'll try to put some of this fantasy stuff on there for now until we grow this and hopefully get it into its own entity. But But yeah, this was fun. Any last words, guys?
Yeah, hopefully we can get this posted up on social media somewhere, our mock draft.
Yep, we'll probably get a picture of this and put it on Facebook just to show everyone what the team looks like. Once again, podcast going to be on Podomatic and iTunes, so go ahead and download, rate us on there. That'd be great. Yeah, follow us. Anything else, Adam?
No, that's about it. It was a lot of fun, and we look forward to doing a few more of these here in the future. NFL is right around the corner. I think first preseason game's here in a couple days, or tomorrow, actually.
Tomorrow is the Hall of Fame game.
Yeah, so NFL season's ready to get going, and so are we. So thanks for listening, guys.
Yep, have a good one. Bye.